My friends, welcome to Two Guys Garage. Today, we're gonna put you behind the wheel and under the hood of this 40-plus year time capsule.
That's right, a 1970 Chevelle SS 396, running rough, kind of a restoration project. We got a lot to do on it.
Yeah, man, first thing to do is find out if it's real. Stick around on Two Guys Garage.
You know, Chevelles are one of the most popular hot rods of all time.
Yes.
You know? And this should be a true 396 SS car, but these are also the most clone cars of all time, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, by all means. They weren't designated by a VIN number. There's 13 different variations of the 454, and there's 11 different versions of the 396 in the Chevelle Supersport form. So who knows? But there are a few things you could always look at to kind of judge on whether or not you have a true SS gem. Now, first things, look at the front grille. If it's blacked out, it's a good sign that it's an SS.
Yep. Now the next one, right? Badges on the side,
Sure.
SS. Again, easy. Now you can go cowl induction hood, but again, you can buy that aftermarket.
Yeah. Now,
right?
a few things when you come back here, I will tell you, something that's a little more difficult to replace are the dash gauges. Now, understand, if you bought a true SS, you would see 3 pods. Now, on the back of the car, if you look back here, you had a rubber pad for the SS cars, and you had a big sway bar. So, really a couple things sort of to take note of when you're shopping around and trying to locate yourself a true SS gem.
Yeah, but again, you're always gonna be, you know, buyer beware situation. And even if you're solid and you buy it, when you go to sell it, they might not buy it.
Right.
So, I mean,
I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid, man.
Yeah, but no
look,
matter what,
we got a bunch of
awesome.
projects. We have a bunch of upgrades on this thing, and we're gonna start with the interior, okay?
Yeah, now the other thing we got is some carburetor work, but let's get one thing started, then move on to the next. We got a specialist because interiors on these, especially the headliner, can get a little bit tricky, so stick around for that.
Kevin, how's it going?
Good. Playing
What's
around
up,
with that
man?
car?
Just went and got lunch. I brought my boy Shane with me. All right. How cool is this? The guy that's gonna help us
Nice to meet
with
you.
the headliner is the size of the inside of the car.
That's right. That's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, man.
Slide around,
All right,
slide
now look,
around. Come on in.
Shane's
Come on in.
awesome when it comes to headliners. There's all kinds of interior stuff. So give us a rundown, man. We think we got some of the stuff you need out here.
Yeah.
What is it you normally use when you're putting a headliner in, say, a 70 vintage Chevelle SS?
Well, first off, you need the bows. These are the bows that run down each side of the car, and they support the headliner in the car.
Okay.
And then these are the sail panels, which will finish off the rear of the car for you. And then these clips, they hold up the center bow, which hold everything in place.
Now, a lot of people make a lot of mistakes when putting up a headliner. That's why we got you here, all right? Some of the common mistakes are what?
Some of the common mistakes putting these headliners up are just not pulling it tight enough to get all the wrinkles out of these. You have to really stretch these.
Think he can pull it tight enough?
Man, he looks like he can pull it tight. That's right.
All right, man. Well, look, we're gonna get you set up so you can start doing your thing, all right? You good with this?
I'm good with this.
All right, man. Headliner action in. All right, Shane, so my man Kevin's dove into the engine compartment. What do we got going on here?
Well, first, we've already gone and test fit these bows into the car.
Yeah, that
Make
was
sure
kinda
they're
fun,
the correct bows.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out which spot they go in, because they don't go in any spot. They're a cluster of 3 usually, and it does matter which hole they go in, how it fits. And you want to make sure each rod is centered in the headliner itself.
Okay. This is why we have you in here, right?
Yeah.
We'd be in here for 3 hours trying to figure this out.
So now, after we get these trimmed and glued, I'm gonna go and sit in the car and pre-glue the whole perimeter of the car where the headliner is gonna go up. And you let that sit and tack up for a while.
Okay.
And we use a special contact adhesive so it sticks real good as soon as you touch it together.
Okay.
We're gonna blow it on here and use a brush in the car so you don't get glue
Nice.
all over the inside of the car.
All right, Shane, here we come.
Just line up the center here,
Okay.
and then just snap these right in the round slots. There we go.
Bingo. That's what's up. So Big Shane pulls it nice and tight, right in the center.
All the way towards the rear.
Okay, now Shane, me being the gentleman that I am, I'm gonna step out, get out of your way, and let you finish this up, okay?
All right, thanks for your help.
Nice.
Zip it down, zip it
Nice,
down. All right, we
nice.
got seats. Oh, man, I'm loving that headline.
What do you
Yeah,
guys
right?
think of that headliner?
Well, Kevin was using words like hideous and disgusting, bro, but I think it's awesome.
That was
Thank you
just
very
his
much.
smell. It had nothing to do with the headliner. Dude. Great
Thank
job.
you very
man.
much.
Looks
Thank you
good.
guys for
looks
having me.
good.
Well, dude, thanks for coming by. I appreciate
Sure
it,
thing,
okay?
anytime.
Yeah.
Dude, awesome to have a cat like that.
Oh, that's real craftsmanship right there. Nowadays, assembly line, you can just kind of throw parts at
Yeah,
robots,
exactly.
but
No doubt.
that's a bomb. All right, man. So interior's coming together, but we don't have a really engine running
Yeah, man.
to get us moving. So let me get on some carburetor action. We're gonna take a break. See you guys back in a minute.
With a muscle car craze at a fever pitch, the 1970 Chevelle rode out from the factory with a brand new option, the LS6 engine. Now, how many foot-pounds of torque did the LS6 put down? We'll have the answer right after the break. So how many foot-pounds of torque did the mighty LS6 engine put down? Well, if you guessed C, then you're right. With a massive 500 foot-pounds of torque and 450 horsepower, the LS6 was the new king of the road when it debuted as an option from the factory for the 1970 Chevelle SS. This Two Guys Garage IQ test is brought to you by Federated Auto Parts.
All right, so this carburetor's running a little rough. Willie, let's show him. Oh, yeah, there it is. All right, that's what I was talking about right there. So the carburetor looks pretty new as far as cleanliness. I mean, I think it's probably been rebuilt since, 1970.
Yeah.
But this thing's been sitting around for a while. All sorts of varnishing can happen. Seals can dry rot, get sort of hardened.
And no doubt, with it barking, spitting, coughing like that, obviously some carb problems. So let's get that carb off, and we'll dive right into it.
That's right. All right, grab some tools. We've got the carburetor off, so now you can really see it. Now, this is a Rochester Quadrajet. Now, what makes these kind of unique, the Quadrajet, is this spread bore. So you got these primaries, they're small, right? And then you got these larger bores. So as I tip in the throttle, I'm gonna have these first sets open, because they're small, I get a lot of velocity, I pull fuel in, I get good metering, good mixturing, but when I wanna make big power, boom, I open up the backs. Now, I mechanically open these throttle blades, but if I flip it around, right, and I do the same thing, you'll see that I mechanically open this choke tower, but these air flaps, they stay closed because they're really sort of vacuum operated. All of this is tunable, which is great for the performance guys, but a little bit of complication in here does make it tricky, and a lot of guys are kind of intimidated, might jump over to a Holly carb. But let's go ahead and tear this thing apart. We'll see what went wrong with it. I'm guessing it's the acceleration circuit, but let's dive in. All right, we got this thing torn down pretty good. It's gonna go in the soaker to get cleaned, all these tiny little holes and passages. I did find that the needle and seat along with the float wasn't quite connected right. There's a little piece missing, and the accelerator pump, the little seal here that creates pressure, seems a little bit hardened. So with a rebuild kit, all nice and clean, this thing ought to run pretty good. Now in the meantime, we're gonna take a quick break, so stick around.
A dull saw blade takes a toll on your equipment and your quality of work. Not only that, but it's dangerous to keep using. So how do you know when it's time to replace one? Aside from visual signs like chipped blade teeth or rough cuts in material, you can hear when it's time to replace a dull blade. As your blade goes bad, you can hear the motor working harder to cut through material. You can also feel when your blade has lost its sharp edge because you have to apply extra force to push the saw through the material you're cutting. When your saw blade starts to show any of these signs, change it immediately with a high-quality blade. A great resource for finding a replacement blade is sawblade.com. Using a web-based company means you can order whatever you need whenever you need it. And sawblade.com makes the highest quality blades, which means you can find a vast variety of great products at a very low price, direct from the manufacturer. They even offer same-day shipping to get your new blades there faster so you don't have to hold up the work. This tip is brought to you by sawblade.com. Be direct.
All right, welcome back. Now we have our Quadrajet carburetor completely torn apart, cleaned, and sitting here prepped and ready to put back together because our Chevelle was just running terribly. A lot of bogging, some backfiring, really leaning out. So hopefully all these steps will help make it better. Now instead of trying to walk through what each of these little pieces does, let's look at the big picture and how a carburetor works. Now the basic principles of a carburetor are super simple. Now unfortunately there's a lot of different layers that make it complicated, but let's break it down. Now you're always working off essentially the principle of vacuum. You have to pull fuel from some reservoir sitting over here, right? So there's a reservoir ready for fuel to be pulled in. Now if I have a throttle sitting here and I'm closed at idle, I have very little airflow, but I have a ton of vacuum. The pistons are pulling down, creating vacuum. So I can pull fuel through this little circuit into the engine, and I'm all great. And I can even use a little bitty screw, super simple, to screw it in and out, and change the flow, right? And if I open this up a little bit further, I can open up another circuit, call it transition, and get a little bit more fuel in, all by vacuum. So essentially, if I look at my operating map over here, my power curve, at idle, I'm covering only about that much. So what happens when I really open that throttle? When I open that throttle up, I get a rush of air. So I've got atmospheric pressure out here, but now I have atmospheric pressure in the manifold instead of vacuum. So what I have to do is rely on velocity. So a lot of air is going to come rushing in, and with a venturi, right, this sort of little hourglass shape, I can speed it up. And somehow speeding up air drops the pressure, creates that vacuum. So the faster the air comes in, or the more air, the more vacuum I can pull up and pull it in. So that's how that side works. So at kind of like cruising and mid-power, that circuit's covering in there. Well, I have this other thing, peak power, where I need to add extra fuel. I need to go a little bit more rich, keep things cool. So I have a power circuit. And what that does, I have a power valve or power piston. This raises up, opens these little metering rods, opens the holes up, so I get extra fuel. So now I can cover this. So I'm covered for pretty much all of the cruising map, but I still have tip in. So when I open the throttle real quick, I let a lot of air in, it changes the pressure, the fuel that's in the mixture kind of falls out like rain, sits in the bottom manifold. So I go lean for a second. So if I was to monitor my air-fuel ratio as I'm driving, right? If I'm cruising, doesn't matter what speed, if I'm cruising, I'm kind of riding around stoic, but when I open that throttle, I get this big gulp of air, the fuel falls out, I go lean and I get a backfire or a bog, and then it recovers and I go back to here, but I gotta get rid of this. So that accelerator pump, this little plunger and piston, pushes fuel in, and it adds a little extra fuel, it fills this in. Now I do get a little rich spike at the end, but I don't even notice it, I don't care. So that's how all the holes get pulled together, all these little circuits sort of work, and you can track them, try to figure out how they work. As long as the pieces go back together and they're clean, you're probably good to go. All right, gang, the Insano jigsaw puzzle, otherwise known as a Quadrajet carburetor, is back together. It's clean. It's got a rebuild kit on it, and I think we're ready to fire. Willie, you want to do the honors? Dude,
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm digging it. Now we're ready for some big block fun.
Yeah, man. Happy 396, happy bird, happy wheel, all about it, man. Nice work.
Cool.
All right, now we got that one checked off. You go see some cool stuff?
Let's go check out the cool
We got some awesome stuff, man.
Yeah.
Hey, and by the way, great job on the coloring, bro.
I love the color, man. You know it. Hey, I don't stay in the lines all the time, but you know, it's fun.
But you had a wicked coloring book. All right, so check this out. From AC Delco, right? Now this is their Advantage rotor. Robotically applied zinc gives you all kinds of protection, durability. It's even in the veins as well. And I also want to show you, AC Delco doesn't skip out on the thickness of this material. You'll see where these veins are expanded and they skim on this material here. Not going to be the case with AC Delco rotors.
Yeah, now that same applied, philosophy on the calipers. These are professional reman. They're zinc coated as well. Same kind of protection. You're gonna get all new hardware from bleeders, seals, right? Everything in here, fresh hardware, ready to bolt on, pre-lubed, so you're set to go with quality hardware.
All right, Kevin, check this out. You're gonna like this. Now, it's from WeatherTech. Now, this is their tech shade, okay? We've all been victims of jumping in your car and burning your buns on that fine Corinthian leather you have. All right, now this is actually gonna keep the sun, keep the heat out of your front windshield, obviously, right?
Yeah, now you've seen, the accordion style, one size fits all. These are custom fit for your specific, vehicle and model. They're gonna fit tight. They got little pull tabs to pop them back out, which is great to keep all that sun and heat from inside your car.
Right, ain't nobody got time for that.
No.
And you just don't get the front windshield, right? They do it for all applications in cars. So you get the side windows and the rear window as well.
Yeah, and if you see the back, this is a black padded surface to take heat in the wintertime. So this is an all year round product. So check it out from WeatherTech. It's their tech shade. All right, look what we just got into from Woodward Fab. This is their 8-inch throatless hand shear, man. You literally pull the handle, and it's like God just came down and cut the metal for you. Now, it's got a cool little 3/8 inch. You can do, rounds rod, or you can do your buddy's pin.
Look, it's a laser straight cut, no burrs. I've got one of these on my welding table, got a C-clamp, most versatile tool you'll have. It shears up to 3/16-inch thick steel, all kinds of widths, all kinds of lengths. You can't go wrong with this Woodward Fab throatless hand shear. Now, whether it's something cool like a throwback 1970 Chevelle or something newer like a Jeep JK, it's always fun to improve the look, ride, and performance of your vehicle with a suspension upgrade. Now, you may remember a while back on Two Guys Garage, we outfit a Jeep JK with a Rancho 3.5-inch lift kit for Federated's annual sweepstakes. We know that just like us, most of you Jeep owners love to add aftermarket lift kits to your rides. But one of the issues you have when you do this is the new height throws off the factory angles of your control arms. Now, this can compromise your performance and ride quality because of the force from hitting those obstacles is now absorbed in the frame instead of being directed into the springs as designed. Not only that, but the compromised geometry of your control arms can make handling much more difficult and even dangerous. Rancho has a simple answer to this problem. It's the geometry correction bracket. Now, this bolt-on bracket allows proper caster angle after addition of an aftermarket lift kit. Now, this is a simple and effective solution to keep your control arms at their factory angles. This reduces brake drive and road harshness, maximizing the performance of your Jeep JK. Now, the bracket is a one-piece welded design, and it works on any 2 to 4-inch lift kit that utilizes the factory upper and lower control arms. This eliminates the need for adjustable control arms and cam bolts for caster correction, saving you a lot of time and frustration. Installation is quick and easy. Just bolt it up directly to your factory locations right out of the box. Now, you can pick up your Rancho geometry correction bracket at any Federated Auto Parts. Cowl Induction. Imagine sitting at a dealership in 1969 or 70 trying to get the biggest bang for buck you could in your SS Chevelle, and you saw the option ZL2. That's what the Cowl Induction was, available on the SS 396 and the SS 454. Now, let me actually show you what all that package came with. So, not only do you get the little flap, right, that opens up, right? You get these deck stripes and these little hood pin locks right here. Now that was the actual package, not available on any other SSs except, you know, the 396 and the 454. Now, finding one of these that's actually working and functioning properly, whew, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. There's so many pieces and components that can go wrong. Let me show you. So it's got a vacuum pump back here. You got an electronic actuator for the second door inside here. You have all these vacuum lines, vacuum assisted, so forth. And then on this one, right, even this big seal, this is what was bad on our cowl induction. Well, we found a proper seal. We fixed a couple of the vacuum lines, and our ZL2 package is actually working properly. And as you can tell, man, not only does it look great and function, because nothing cooler than driving down the road, hitting that gas, right, and seeing that flap open up. You get that cool charge in this sealed little air cleaner here. Boom. They claimed it was an additional 20 to 25 horsepower. If you could imagine buying that ZL2 package, it was kind of like, honey, I need that 20 to 25 horsepower. I got a Mopar coming after me. Kind of cool to see it all functioning and working. I can't wait to get it out on the road. Watch that flap open up. Man, I gotta tell you, dude, sitting in the driver's seat of a 70 Chevelle Super Sport, the first for me.
Really?
Yeah, man.
God, black on black, 396. Dude, listen to that. I could just listen to that all day.
I know, man. Nothing wrong with that. And Shane knocked out a killer headliner for us. Great job on the carburetor. The interior's all buttoned up. Our cowl induction is working, man. We can't go wrong, man.
The only thing we can go wrong is taking it back to the owner.
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling that. We need to find like a Dairy Queen.
Or a nice windy, twisty road.
Something like that, or a nice big straight road. All right, man. Well, look, it's only one way we're gonna get our fix, man, and that's to roll on out. You ready, my man?
Right. Yep. We will see you guys next time. It's time for us to enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Pick that apple right out the tree, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.